Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. I don't know what area you might be in, but my name is Buzz Weckner, and I am the Director of Governance and for Identity and Administration here at Nationwide Mutual Insurance. And I want to talk to you a little bit about something that we've put together that has helped us in our audits. So this is just a disclaimer. The opinions here, the comments that I make, they're strictly from Nationwide. We're not making any recommendations. We're not endorsing any products. We're just going to share some of the insights that we've had as we've utilized the Identity IIQ tool. Next slide. A little bit about Nationwide. We're a Fortune 100 company. We're the largest provider of 457s or government held 401k plans. We're the largest in pet, farm bureaus. You can read all of it. And if you want more information, you can go to nationwide.com, where you can look at us on Facebook or Twitter. Next slide. So about our SailPoint environment. We've been a customer since 2011. We do run a hybrid environment. So we have IIQ on-prem. We're on version 8.1. On the weekend of the 17th, we'll be upgrading to version 8.3. We installed AI back in first quarter of 2022. Right now, we've got about 650 applications onboarded. We manage around 170,000 plus identities. As I said, we're going to have AI making some decisions for us in the future. Sometime around the May-June timeframe, we're going to install CAM. And again, we're going to continue onboarding applications as fast as we can. Next slide. So fake or real. Next slide. So one of the problems that we always run into is auditors, right? Auditors always want to know things. They want to ask questions, and you have to prove everything to them and try to explain, well, what's going on. And they're the bane of my existence, frankly. I spend an enormous amount of time, as does my team, answering questions for auditors. As an insurance company, not only do we have our internal auditors, do we have our FRC PMO, financial reporting control auditors, but we also have all the outside entities, the government auditors that come in either from the state or from the federal. And not only do we have to comply with those local, but we also have to comply with everything like NACHA that's going on in New York, et cetera. The fortunate thing is we're not an international company, so everything that I have to worry about here is based in the U.S. But it is quite a challenge to try and answer all the different questions. And that's one of the reasons we moved into Identity IQ, is because it gives us that capability for a lot of the information. However, next slide. They're going to ask you a lot of questions, right? How do you know that that's the case? Well, they don't take because I know, trust me. They want to always, want to know how are you going to validate or verify that information. And the challenge is also, well, we do it really, really well. Thank you very much. And can you show me? And it's like, we'll go back to number one, trust me. And they don't believe on that either. So we kept going round and round with our auditors, trying to demonstrate a way that even when we were doing manager certifications, that there was enough evidence to show that the managers were going through the certifications, they were checking things in a correct manner. And we kind of sat down and brainstormed on a way on how we would do that. So next slide. So we created this thing called the fake application. And really what this is an application that we create and we embed it into the manager certification. And what we do is we give it a fairly common name, or something that you might not easily recognize. But if you read the entitlement description, it's very clear. For example, for the first quarter of this year, the fake application name was TWO2, and the last name of it was AIR, AIR, to AIR. And if you read the entitlement description, the entitlement description said to AIR is human, but if you approve this app or this entitlement, that's just wrong. So we give as much information as we can to make sure who is looking over the application, to make sure we understand how closely leaders are looking at all the entitlements that they have to approve. So once we do this, we take the MDR at the end of it and we look for all the leaders that approved the fake application. And if a leader does approve the fake application, there's quite a few consequences. One, every quarter I produce a report that shows all the people who took the bait, if you want to think of it from a phishing standpoint, and that goes up to our OCEO cabinet. And they review it with the OCEO members, and it drills down to where they want to understand why someone couldn't take the time to look at an identity. Next slide, please. So then the other thing too is if you if you approve the fake application, you've got to take the second certification again. We send you out a supplemental cert, which is exactly the same as the first one, but this time you only have 5 business days to complete it. If you don't complete the certifications on time, the person or the leader that has the certification assigned to them, their login credentials are disabled. And then we require that leader's leader or that manager's leader to complete the manual certification for them on their behalf. And then once it's completed, they turn it back into us, and then we'll re-enable the managers who couldn't complete the certification on time. We'll re-enable their credentials so they're able to continue doing their job. Next slide. So a little bit of an idea of all of the types of certifications we do today. So we do a quarterly manager certification that goes out to all people leaders within the company, from our president and CEO all the way down. We do a quarterly shared ID. So any of our IDs that are shared, you might think of them as being generic or system IDs. We do that on a quarterly basis. And then we have our privileged IDs where they're shared IDs, but they've got to be checked out to be used. We do that biannually. So if a manager right now or a people leader is doing everything correctly, they're going to have at least 10 manager certifications or certifications of some type to do each year. If they're not doing it correctly and they fail quite often, and they could have as many as 16 to 18 to do because they didn't do them on time. And again, for any of these certifications, if the leader does not complete it on time by the due date, then the following morning their login credentials are disabled, and they too have to log on or have their leader go ahead and complete a manual certification to get their credentials enabled. Now, sounds like a lot of work to put this together, this fake application, and sounds kind of harsh to say, well, we're going to disable credentials if people don't complete it on time. However, I will tell you that prior to implementing the fake application, we would struggle to get people to complete them on time or to get them and there was no way for us to tell the auditors that it had been done accurately and completely. So once we put the fake application in, and then we invoked the piece about it getting credentials disabled, we went from, say, just from a completion on time ratio, we went from, say, 300 to 500 managers not completing it on time, which means the audit it has to be done for the auditor, so we would end up babysitting. We went from a number of 300 to 500 to, in Q1 of 2023, we had 6 leaders that didn't complete it out of 3,700 plus. And as far as the fake application, since we started reporting on it, we went down from a number of somewhere between 250 to 400, and in 2023 we had 75. So it's been extremely effective to prove the point not only to the auditors that the certifications are being reviewed, there is attention being given to it, but it's also helped us from a standpoint of making sure the information that's as far as privileged access or any type of access is at least privilege, and it's as complete and accurate as we can do. So next slide, please. So we talked about the manager being able to redo or having to redo it. What we're doing is we look to AI to help reduce the certification fatigue. In Q4 was the first time we turned AI on, and we let it do recommendations. Where, we think you should approve this. We don't think you should approve this. The thing to remember that regardless of what the recommendation is, at the end of the day, the people leader, the manager doing the certification, is the one accountable, because they all have to click that I agree submit button at the end to whatever decisions were made. But the feedback that we've gotten since we've started letting AI give some recommendations has been very, very favorable. It's reduced the amount of time that leaders have to do to take to go through their certifications. They're building up a trust. Q1 was the second time. So this past cert, it actually learned more, gave better recommendations. They didn't have to look at it as closely because it gave them more decisions. So we're really looking to AI, and it's proven itself so far that it's helped us the fatigue from having so many certifications. That's a little bit of an overview of how we use the fake application to help with auditors and their questions, and to give some validation to them that the certifications were being taken seriously and were being done in a timely manner. I love to take questions. Unfortunately, I can't hear anybody and I can't see the chat. So if you go to the final slide, if you do have any questions, you can reach me at buzz, B-U-Z-Z, @nationwide.com.